All right, so today we're diving into Cronos,
CRO.
CRO, right?
Yeah,
And this is one that's got some serious buzz around it.
absolutely.
We've got research here suggesting there could be an upside of over 540%.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty exciting.
Definitely exciting.
But before anybody runs off to grab their wallets,
Right.
we need to unpack what's really driving this.
For sure.
You know, what's beyond the hype?
Absolutely.
What should you as a listener be paying attention to?
Yeah.
So let's kick things off with the tech side.
Okay.
What is Cronos?
So Cronos is the native token of the Crypto.com ecosystem.
Okay,
It powers their exchange and wallet and payment services.
gotcha.
But what's really interesting is their focus on decentralized finance.
DeFi.
DeFi, right?
Yeah.
NFTs and dApps.
Okay. And you mentioned that Cronos supports those Ethereum-based smart contracts that
Yeah.
have the EVM compatibility.
Right.
Why is that such a big deal?
So it's huge for developers because imagine taking your existing Ethereum project and launching it on a new chain, but with barely any extra work.
Wow.
That's what Cronos allows, and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
So it's not just about buying and selling CRO then. It's
Right.
about sort of being part of this whole growing ecosystem.
Exactly, yeah, the whole nine.
Ecosystem. Okay, so let's talk about that plus 540% prediction we mentioned.
Okay.
Is that realistic or is this hype territory?
Well, the technical analysis shows some really promising signs.
Okay.
We're seeing a really strong base forming
Uh-huh.
with those support levels holding up well.
Yeah.
And the recent crossover above the 50-day EMA, that's another bullish indicator.
Okay.
And the increasing trading volume suggests growing momentum.
Okay, but we both know charts only tell part of the story.
Right.
So what's driving this momentum beyond just the technicals?
Well, Crypto.com's marketing is aggressive.
Yeah.
That's definitely playing a role.
Yeah, I mean, we see them everywhere.
Everywhere, right?
They're partnering with big names like Matt Damon. They're all over sporting events.
All over the place.
So that kind of visibility really seems to be attracting new users.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then driving demand for CRO.
Exactly.
So the marketing's creating buzz.
Yeah.
But what about the substance?
Right.
Is Cronos attracting developers
Yeah,
beyond just the hype?
Beyond the hype, yeah.
Okay, so how are they doing that?
So the Cronos blockchain is becoming a hub for all those DeFi projects.
Okay.
And developers are choosing Cronos because it's fast.
Uh-huh.
It has low fees and that EVM compatibility.
Right, which we just talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this influx of projects is creating a positive feedback loop
Okay.
because more projects attract more users, which drives demand for CRO,
Yeah.
which attracts even more development.
So the ecosystem is growing.
It is.
The tech seems pretty solid.
Yeah,
And the marketing is definitely aggressive.
for sure.
But, you know, this sounds like a recipe for success. But what are the downsides?
The DeFi space is still pretty new.
Yeah.
And there are always risks with emerging technologies. You know, we've seen hacks and exploits in other DeFi protocols,
Right.
and Cronos isn't immune to that.
Okay, good point. Any new tech comes with those growing pains.
Definitely.
What about competition, though?
Oh, yeah.
There are a ton of other blockchains out there all vying for a piece of this DeFi pie.
Absolutely.
How does Cronos stack up?
Competition is fierce,
Yeah.
but Cronos has some advantages.
Okay.
Its connection to the Crypto.com ecosystem
Right.
gives it a built-in user base and a strong brand.
That makes sense.
Plus, that EVM compatibility makes it easy for developers to just bring their projects over from Ethereum.
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge draw.
It is.
Okay, so we've got this strong base forming a growing ecosystem
Yeah,
and a team that's really pushing hard on marketing.
absolutely.
It sounds like Cronos is ticking a lot of the boxes here,
Yeah,
but I'm sure our listeners are wondering at this point, how do I actually get involved?
right.
How do I get started with this?
Yeah, so if you're considering investing in CRO, there are a few things to keep in mind.
Right.
First, do your research.
Okay.
Don't just rely on those price predictions.
Yeah.
Understand the technology, the team, the risks involved.
Good advice. We always encourage listeners to do their own due diligence
Absolutely.
before making any investment decisions.
Of course.
So research is number one.
Yes.
What else?
And second, if you decide to invest, don't go all in.
Okay.
Diversify that portfolio
Oh, yeah.
and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Right.
Because the crypto market is volatile
For sure.
and things can change really quickly.
Absolutely. All right. So two really good pieces of advice there.
Yeah,
Do your research and don't go all in.
exactly.
So we've talked about the potential upsides.
Mhm.
We've talked about some of the risks to keep in mind.
Right.
But let's zoom out a bit here.
Okay.
What's the bigger picture?
Yeah.
Where does Cronos fit into the whole DeFi landscape?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So DeFi is aiming to disrupt traditional finance, right?
Right.
Offering these decentralized alternatives
Hmm.
to everything from lending and borrowing to insurance and asset management.
Wow.
And Cronos is positioning itself as a hub for this innovation,
Okay.
leveraging that speed, the low fees, and that EVM compatibility
Right.
to attract both developers and users.
Now, you mentioned the crypto.com connection as a big plus for Cronos.
Yeah.
How does that relationship actually play out in the DeFi space?
So it's a really powerful synergy.
Okay.
Crypto.com has a massive
Mm.
user base,
Millions of people.
millions of people using their platform for buying and selling and trading crypto.
Right.
And that gives Cronos a ready-made audience.
For their DeFi applications.
Exactly.
So it's almost like a built-in network effect then.
It is.
The more people use crypto.com,
Yeah.
the more potential users there are for Cronos' DeFi offerings.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, I got it.
And Crypto.com is actively integrating Cronos into its ecosystem.
Okay.
For example, they're offering staking rewards for CRO on their platform, which incentivizes users to hold the token
Right.
and participate in DeFi.
Okay, so it's like they're building this bridge between the traditional crypto world
Yeah.
and the DeFi world.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, DeFi can still seem really intimidating
It can.
to the average person.
Oh, for sure.
So how is Cronos addressing that?
So user experience is crucial
Right.
for mainstream adoption.
Yeah.
And Cronos gets that.
Okay.
They're focused on making DeFi accessible
Okay.
with user-friendly interfaces and clear explanations
Uh-huh.
of how things work.
All right, so they're trying to make it easier to understand.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about the elephant in the room, though.
What's that?
Regulation.
Right.
How is Cronos navigating this whole evolving regulatory landscape
Yeah.
for crypto and DeFi?
So regulation is a huge factor,
It is.
and it's something that all the serious players in the crypto space have to address.
Okay.
Cronos is taking a proactive approach. Right. They're working with regulators to ensure compliance and transparency.
Okay.
And Crypto.com, being a regulated entity in a lot of places,
Right.
brings some valuable experience and expertise.
So it sounds like they're not trying to fight regulation.
Yeah.
They're trying to work within it.
Exactly.
Yes.
They understand that regulation is necessary
Okay.
for the long-term health and stability of the crypto market.
Yeah, for sure.
And by being compliant and transparent,
Uh-huh.
Cronos is building trust with users and regulators.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about a lot of Cronos strengths. But, every project has its weaknesses.
Of course.
So what are some potential challenges or roadblocks that they might face?
So scalability is a challenge for any blockchain platform that wants to go mainstream.
Uh-huh.
As more users and applications join the network,
Yeah.
can Cronos handle that increased transaction volume
Right.
without sacrificing speed or affordability?
Okay, so can they scale?
Right, can they scale?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
So it's kind of a wait-and-see situation.
Yeah,
Can they deliver on the scalability front?
exactly.
Okay.
And then there's the broader challenge of just educating the public about DeFi in general.
Okay.
There's still a lot of misunderstanding and skepticism out there.
Sure.
So Cronos and other DeFi platforms need to do a better job of explaining the benefits
Uh-huh.
and addressing those concerns in a way that makes sense to everyday people.
Right. It's all about making DeFi less intimidating.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We talked about the potential,
Yeah.
the risks, the regulatory landscape, and the challenges ahead.
Yeah.
I think our listeners getting a pretty clear picture
Yeah,
of where Cronos stands.
for sure.
But let's wrap up this part with a look ahead.
Okay.
What are the key things to watch for in the coming months and years?
Yeah.
What could signal that Cronos is truly living up to its potential?
So there are a few key metrics to keep an eye on. First, developer activity.
Okay.
Is Cronos continuing to attract talented developers,
Mhm.
building innovative applications?
So it's not just about the price of CRO.
Right.
It's about the growth of the platform itself.
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
And second, user adoption.
Okay.
Are we seeing a steady increase in the number of people using Cronos' DeFi applications?
So that indicates real-world demand
Real-world demand.
and utility.
Exactly.
It's about building that thriving community.
Right.
What else should we be watching?
Keep an eye on partnerships and integrations.
Okay.
Is Cronos collaborating with other projects and platforms?
Yeah.
Are they expanding into new areas like gaming or the metaverse?
So it's not just about DeFi in isolation.
Right.
It's about how Cronos connects to the wider crypto and tech world.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
And lastly, keep an eye on regulation.
Okay.
How are regulators responding to Cronos and its activities?
Yeah.
Are they creating a supportive environment for DeFi innovation?
So that's crucial for long-term success.
It is.
It sounds like we've got a lot to watch for.
We do.
This Cronos deep dive is turning into a real detective story.
It is.
Okay, we've covered the present. We've looked ahead to the future.
Yep.
But before we wrap up, let's step back for a moment and consider the big picture.
All right.
What does the rise of Cronos and DeFi in general tell us about the future of finance?
It tells us that the financial landscape is shifting.
Okay.
People are looking for alternatives to traditional financial institutions.
Okay.
And DeFi offers a decentralized, transparent, and accessible way to manage their money.
That makes sense.
And Cronos, with its strong team-growing ecosystem and that connection to Crypto.com, is at the forefront of this movement.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
DeFi isn't just about technology. It's about empowering individuals.
Exactly. And it's about creating a more inclusive and equitable financial system.
Okay.
One that's accessible to everyone, regardless of their location or background.
Okay, folks. That's a wrap for part 2 of our Cronos deep dive. We've explored the DeFi landscape, looked at Cronos's strengths and weaknesses, and considered the bigger implications of this technology.
For sure.
But we're not done yet.
No.
In part 3, we'll
dive deeper.
Dive even deeper.
Even deeper, yeah.
So we've talked about the potential upsides and the risks to keep in mind, but let's zoom out a bit. What's the bigger picture here? Where does Cronos fit into this whole DeFi landscape?
That's a key question. DeFi is aiming to disrupt traditional finance, offering decentralized alternatives to everything from lending and borrowing to insurance and asset management.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
Okay, so where does Cronos come in?
Cronos is positioning itself as a hub for this innovation.
Okay.
Leveraging its speed, low fees, and that EVM compatibility we talked about to attract developers and users.
You mentioned that Crypto.com connection as a big plus for Cronos.
Yeah.
How does that relationship actually play out in the DeFi space? It's a powerful synergy. Crypto.com has this massive user base, millions of people already using their platform for buying, selling, and trading crypto.
Right.
And that gives Cronos a ready-made audience for its DeFi applications.
So it's almost like a built-in network effect.
It is.
The more people use Crypto.com, the more potential users there are for Cronos' DeFi offerings.
Exactly. And Crypto.com is actively integrating Cronos into its ecosystem.
Okay. How so?
For example, they're offering staking rewards for CRO on their platform, which incentivizes users to hold the token and participate in DeFi.
So it's like they're building this bridge between the traditional crypto world and the DeFi world.
Exactly.
But DeFi can still seem pretty intimidating to the average person.
Oh, for sure.
How is Cronos addressing that?
User experience is crucial for mainstream adoption, and Cronos gets that they're focused on making DeFi accessible with user-friendly interfaces and clear explanations of how things work.
They're also working on simplifying those complex processes, like interacting with smart contracts, to make it easier for everyday users to participate.
So we've got a growing ecosystem, user-friendly interfaces, and a strong connection to the Crypto.com platform. But we haven't talked about the elephant in the room, regulation. How is Cronos navigating this whole evolving regulatory landscape for crypto and DeFi?
Yeah, regulation's a huge factor, and it's something that all serious players in the crypto space have to address. Cronos is taking a proactive approach, working with regulators to ensure compliance and transparency.
Okay.
And Crypto.com, as a regulated entity in many jurisdictions, brings valuable experience and expertise to the table.
So it sounds like they're not trying to fight regulation, they're trying to work within it.
Exactly. They understand that regulation is necessary for the long-term health and stability of the crypto market. And by being compliant and transparent, Cronos is building trust with users and regulators alike.
That makes a lot of sense. Now we've talked about Cronos' strengths, but every project has its weaknesses.
Yeah.
What are some potential challenges or roadblocks they might face?
Well, scalability is a challenge for any blockchain platform that aims to go mainstream, as more users and applications join the network. Can Cronos handle the increased transaction volume without sacrificing speed or affordability?
So it's a bit of a wait-and-see situation.
Yeah.
Can they deliver on the scalability front?
Exactly. And then there's the broader challenge of educating the public about DeFi. There's still a lot of misunderstanding and skepticism out there.
Correct.
Cronos and other DeFi platforms need to do a better job of explaining the benefits and addressing concerns in a way that resonates with everyday people.
It's all about building trust and making DeFi less intimidating. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The potential, the risks, the regulatory landscape, and the challenges ahead. I think our listener is getting a pretty clear picture of where Cronos stands, but let's wrap up this part with a look ahead. What are the key things to watch for in the coming months and years? What could signal that Cronos is truly living up to its potential?
There are a few key metrics to keep an eye on. First, developer activity. Is Cronos continuing to attract talented developers building innovative applications? That's a sign of a healthy and growing ecosystem.
So it's not just about the price of CRO, it's about the growth of the platform itself.
Exactly. And second, user adoption. Are we seeing a steady increase in the number of people using Cronos's DeFi applications that indicates real-world demand and utility?
It's all about building a thriving community. What else should we be watching?
Keep an eye on partnerships and integrations. Is Cronos collaborating with other projects and platforms? Are they expanding into new areas like gaming or the metaverse? That's a sign of a platform that's evolving and pushing boundaries.
So it's not just about DeFi in isolation, it's about how Cronos connects to the wider crypto and tech world.
Exactly. And lastly, keep an eye on regulation. How are regulators responding to Cronos and its activities? Are they creating a supportive environment for DeFi innovation that's crucial for long-term success?
It sounds like we've got a lot to watch for this. Cronos Deep Dive is turning into a real detective story. Okay, we've covered the present, we've looked ahead to the future, but before we wrap up, let's step back for a moment and consider the big picture. What does the rise of Cronos and DeFi in general tell us about the future of finance?
It tells us that the financial landscape is shifting. People are looking for alternatives to traditional financial institutions, and DeFi offers a decentralized, transparent, and accessible way to manage their money. Cronos, with its strong, team-growing ecosystem and connection to Crypto.com, is at the forefront of this movement.
That's a powerful thought. DeFi isn't just about technology, it's about empowering individuals.
Exactly, and it's about creating a more inclusive and equitable financial system, one that's accessible to everyone regardless of their location or background.
Okay, folks, that's a wrap for part 2 of our Cronos Deep Dive. We've explored the DeFi landscape, looked at Cronos' strengths and weaknesses, and considered the bigger implications of this technology. But we're not done yet. In part 3, we'll. All right, so we're back, and, we've covered the tech, the potential, even the risks.
Right.
But let's step back
Yeah.
and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, the so what?
Yeah, the so what of all this.
Right.
What does the rise of Cronos and really DeFi in general
Yeah.
tell us about the future of finance?
It's more than just a trend.
Um,
DeFi is fundamentally challenging the way we think about finance.
Okay.
It's shifting power from those centralized institutions
Right.
to individuals, giving people more control over their assets
Okay.
and their financial future.
So we've talked about this potential for DeFi to disrupt traditional finance,
Yeah.
but let's get specific.
Uh.
What are some real-world examples of how Cronos and DeFi are already making a difference?
We're seeing some exciting use cases emerge,
Like what?
like micro-lending. Traditionally, getting a small loan has been difficult,
Right, especially in developing countries.
especially in developing countries, right?
Yeah.
DeFi platforms on Cronos are making it possible for people to access microloans really easily,
Wow.
often at much lower interest rates than traditional banks.
So DeFi is opening up access to financial services for people who have been traditionally excluded.
Exactly. Another area where Cronos is making a difference is remittances.
Okay, remittances, sending money across borders.
Right, sending money across borders.
Which can be really expensive.
It can be so expensive and slow.
Yeah.
But DeFi platforms are streamlining that process,
Okay.
allowing people to send money to their families and loved ones quickly and affordably.
So we're seeing these real-world solutions
Yeah.
for real-world problems.
Exactly.
That's what gets me excited about this technology.
I agree.
But let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
Okay.
What are some of the arguments against DeFi?
Okay.
Why might some people be hesitant to embrace this new world?
Well, one common concern is security.
Okay, security, sure.
We hear about those DeFi hacks and exploits.
Yeah. Makes people nervous.
Right, and that can make people really nervous.
Mm.
And it's true, the DeFi space is still young, and there are vulnerabilities that need to be addressed.
Right.
But traditional finance also has its fair share of security issues.
Good point. No system is perfect.
Exactly. Banks get hacked,
Hmm.
identities get stolen. Fraud is a constant problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Another concern is complexity.
Okay.
DeFi can seem intimidating to newcomers.
Yeah,
Interacting with smart contracts, understanding all the different protocols, it can feel overwhelming.
right.
But just like any new technology, the learning curve gets easier over time.
Sure.
And Cronos is doing a lot to simplify things with those user-friendly interfaces and educational resources.
So it's about finding that balance between innovation and accessibility.
Right.
What about the argument that DeFi is just a playground for speculators,
Yeah.
people chasing quick profits?
Yeah.
Is there real substance here, or is it all just hype?
There's definitely speculation in any emerging market,
Yeah.
and DeFi is no exception. But beyond the hype, there's real innovation happening.
Okay.
Developers are building tools that have the potential to change the way we manage our money,
Mm-hmm.
access financial services, and interact with the global economy.
And as more people understand the power of DeFi,
Right.
that speculation should give way to more meaningful adoption
Yeah.
and real-world impact.
I agree. We're still in the early stages,
Okay.
but the potential is enormous.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where anyone, anywhere can access financial services
Wow.
without relying on those traditional intermediaries.
Yeah.
That's the promise of DeFi.
Yeah.
And Cronos is playing a key role in making that vision a reality.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a major shift in how we think about and interact with money.
Yeah,
And Cronos is right at the center of it all.
absolutely.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into Cronos.
It does?
We've covered a lot of ground. From the technical details to the bigger implications for the future of finance.
Yeah,
Hopefully you've gained some valuable insights
I hope so.
and are feeling inspired to continue your own exploration of this space.
Definitely keep learning, keep asking questions, and stay curious. The world of DeFi is constantly evolving, and there's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. Until next time, happy exploring.